Facebook is in here?
No, I didn't.
You better. This is great. Can't believe this, Ryan. This is so cool. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem, dude.
So stoked. I'm so excited and stoked.
Where's Benny? Right there?
I'm gonna pull this shit up. I hate this.
Nice. So you gotta...
Yeah, this is the drummer from White People. White People playing live.
What button do I click on here?
This is your old man, Girther.
Girther. Playing with Mexican
Yo, B.
chicks.
Yeah.
What button do I put on here so I can see that?
The YouTube, just go to
Here's the 1, 2,
Kaotic
and
Radio
3.
on YouTube. See it?
Oh, there we go. That's what we look like live.
Yeah, I saw some YouTube, some of your YouTube action, and when you had Vince in here.
Yeah, I just had him a little while ago. Put your phones on vibrator so they don't start ringing while we're doing this shit.
No doubt.
So there really isn't a format to this, dude. I just
You're good.
shoot off the shit.
You're great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So what music do you have? Do you have Rose Tattoo?
Yep. I have hundreds of vinyl, so I just decided to do more rock and roll today. Rose Tattoo, the Cheap
Sure,
Trick,
some Cheap Trick
Oh
records.
man, love it.
the Kinks,
Oh okay. Oh, there you go.
T-Rex.
It's my favorite band.
All right, T-Rex.
It's a band called The Fumes I think they're from Seattle. They're pretty fucking good. Some Ramones that my dog chewed on.
Nice.
This is given to me. I haven't even listened to this yet. Dirty Kid Discount.
Some Hanley Rocks.
Yeah, a little bit. A little glam. Some AC/DC.
Lucifer live with Bad Back.
Lucifer, and then the Reducers. You guys ever heard of these guys?
Oh yeah.
Never even heard of them before, and then I just bought the record, and I was like, "Fuck, this is kind of cool." We'll see. I don't. There's no plan ever.
Good. We like that.
Spontaneous.
I'm going to put you guys on mute, and I'm going to start it up soon. You heard the theme, okay?
We know the theme.
Hello, this is Eddie Casillas from the Voodoo Glow Skulls, and you're listening to kaoticradio.com.
The Black Lung, the Black Lung Show, 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 and starting fucking now.
That's right. You're listening to the Black Lung Show live on kaoticradio.us for right now until we get the .com thing back up. Welcome to the Church of Rock and Roll. I am your host, Ryan Pena. I'm joined in studio again, finally, at the beginning of the year with my main man, B. How you doing, brother? Where'd your mic go?
I'm doing good, Ryan. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I made some new friends.
I can tell.
Yeah. This is going to be starting... This is, 3.5 years that I've been doing the Black Lung Show. And today's show is kind of exactly the reason why I started it, right? I share this story a lot, since you guys haven't heard it before, probably. I'll say it again. You know, there's DJs, and then there's me, you know? I'm a rock and roll singer. I've been playing in bands for a while. And when I got the opportunity to do the show, I was like, I started asking my friends, I'm like, you know, if I do a radio show, do you guys want to be on here? And here I am 3.5 years later. I've interviewed, you know, famous bands like the Weirdos and the Briefs and guys from, the Cadillac Tramps, the Ramones. I mean, a lot of bands. And then a lot of bands that are just up and coming that I think people should listen to. Because if you listen to terrestrial radio, it's just It's horrible. It's like
I'm sorry.
It's like a broken iPod, right?
I'm
It's like-
sorry.
I don't know. It sucks because I listen to terrestrial radio and it's like I don't want to hear Guns N' Roses and Led Zeppelin again. I want to hear something new. And so the cool part is that I still play in a band and I get to play shows with my band. And then when I go to play shows, I get to meet cool bands, hopefully that I play with. And so when was it? Just a couple of Saturdays ago?
Last week, I think.
Was it last week? I can't remember.
2 weeks ago?
Maybe 2 weeks ago. Played with this band. This band's called the Glimmer Stars, and they're here live in studio. Everybody, if you're listening on kaoticradio.us, you can also tune in and see our very sexy faces on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and look up kaoticradio.com and the Black Lung Show. You can see a feed of us here on the show. Also on the side, you can type in some questions. I'm not real good at talking and typing at the same time. Plus, I'm drinking, so I might take a minute to respond. But if you got some questions for the band, feel free to shoot them on here. So here's their CD that's available now on Candy Bang Records. That's cool.
Thanks.
I don't think I've ever heard of Candy Bang Records. What is that?
It's one of those labels you've probably never heard of, and you might not ever hear again.
All right. Is this self-titled? Is that what
Yeah, that was our first one a while back.
All right. So this is a self-titled album called The Glimmer Stars. So in studio here are the guys from the band. Let me start off here on my left. Just do me a favor. Just wave to the camera, introduce yourself, and tell everybody who you are and what you play.
Robert Casillas, the drummer in the Glimmer Stars.
Minnie Mendez, singer, bass player.
Steven Soto, guitar player, backup vocalist.
All right, man. So one of the other things too that I do on the show, I mean, unless it's like a band like that are like the weirdos that I grew up listening to, I try not to do any research. That's why you don't see like any interview questions here. I don't know much about you guys other than the fact you guys kick ass, and it was cool sharing a stage with you guys.
Thank you.
So now I get to learn all about you guys, and so does everybody else listening all over the world. We got people listening, right now in Texas and in New York that I know for sure, and then probably people in the UK and stuff. So hopefully we can get a lot more people to check you guys out and come out to your shows.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is like I said before, I'm not a DJ. I'm a musician trying to help other musicians, like we used to do back in the day. So there's the old man stuff coming out right there. Remember back in the day, we used to help each other.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was fanzines and all sorts of other stuff. And
fanzines.
so nowadays, I'm trying to do all this digital, social media shit, and I'm using the radio show as a platform to help get bands out there. And so actually through this radio show is how I met Ginger. And we played for her birthday. Hi, Ginger. I know she's watching. She's the one that made the flyer for the radio show.
Kicks ass.
She's really cool, and that was a great show. It was the Glimmer Stars. It was my band, Something Ferocious, Unit F, and then Brain Spoon, and the whole night was just real cool, man. So let's just start from the fucking beginning. When did the Glimmer Stars officially start as a band?
That's all you, Minnie.
That's all me. 2000-ish. And, we've had some ups and downs, not negative, but just we've played for a couple years and then a year off. This guy crashed his motorcycle. Could have killed himself, but he made it. So, and a few lineup changes. A couple of ex-guys from Drama Rama were in the Glimmer Stars.
No shit.
Yeah, the drummer.
Right on.
And, it's one of those things that it doesn't seem to die. Not that I want it to die,
Yeah.
but it keeps going, and it's natural, and it's fun, and I'm an older guy. You're a younger guy. I'm an older guy. So I'm like you. I just want to go have fun, play songs, meet people, and, I got to say, before we go any further, I know you're not a DJ, but you had a great DJ voice, Ryan.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
The beer and the cigarettes help with that.
Yeah, it does. and screaming in that microphone. But that's really the band. And we want to record here and play here and just have fun,
So
we do.
it's 2019 now, and so you're saying
it's a
so
long
that's
time.
19 years with the band off and on.
Well, actually, the iteration that we're probably seeing of the band now goes back to about 5 years ago when I joined the band.
Okay.
And I had first seen the band at a party with Paul Collins. And Paul Collins is the collective of nearly everybody in this band is one of our biggest influences. And so I decided to go to this party. I heard that Paul Collins was playing. I found it hard to believe that Paul Collins is playing. Yeah, this guy has an incredible amount of music history. So I end up at this party, and the Glimmer Stars are one of the opening bands. And I had a really good time. I was really captivated by the music then. And it was, I established a rapport with Minnie and said, hey, if one of these guys end up falling off, the back of the van or
Right.
showing up late, I'd really love to have an opportunity to play with you. This is right up my alley. Some years go by and then, I get that phone call and we're playing at the Coach House. Our first show with me as a guitar player in the band.
This is San Juan Capistrano, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
4 years ago, right?
Probably 14, maybe autumn of 2014. And from that time on, it was actually pretty good because we had what was starting to become the rebranding of the band. We had a guitar player that had a certain style that really pushed the band in one direction. And when he left the band, we became a three-piece. But the interesting thing was when a band gets diluted down with different members and you distill down, the head count, everyone's role is really important. The drums really got to step up and assume the mantle of I'm the drummer. Been through a few drummers. Enter Robert. Robert came on board and hit the ground running.
How long have you been in the band, Robert?
A month? No, I'm just kidding. I played with them a few years back.
Like 5 years ago. You
Yeah.
sat in for a couple shows.
A couple shows, just sat in, filled in, and then I did my other projects while they kept on going, and just this past couple months, I stepped back in
6 months.
6 months, stepped back in, and here I am.
Yeah, he's been a really good, attribute to the band. It really kind of got our sound solidified because with all the personnel changes that we're having, we just kind of were going through playing the songs on stage, and we had a sound, but it sort of seemed to have taken a back row. Now, with the lineup that you have now that we've been playing out, I think this is the best lineup. It best represents our sound, which is, if you want to go back in time, it's like, we sound a lot like what Los Angeles did probably from 1978 on, just a really raw, you're going to that speakeasy to go see that punk band player or that rock band play because, it's still kind of underground.
Yeah.
And, no one back then really had a template to follow for what rock was to be or what was to become new wave or punk. People were just really throwing out what they thought were songs.
Yeah.
And that's where Minnie and I came from. You had music, people like Phil Seymour that was happening during the day, and that was a big inspiration. People laugh at the Knack, but when you really listen to the Knack, they were up against Cheap Trick. That was the music where we came from. And trying to carry that mantle on now, this is the best group to do it with. I feel confident. These are the guys. They get it.
Well, cool. Well, so then you were asking me too about, how often I do my show. I usually do it mostly every single Sunday unless I have stuff to do with the kids and stuff like that. Sure. And thanks for the compliments, for about
that's not the alcohol talking.
Oh no, about the young man thing. I don't know if you can. I know the people on the screen can see my hair. It used to be black. It used to be. And I have adult children now, and they're
hello.
That's cool though, man. Because I still feel young.
It's just a number. It's just a number.
Exactly. I still get up on the stage and jump around. And
you do.
Feel it like a motherfucker the next day.
Sing like a motherfucker, dude. You're badass.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, well, that's the thing why I mentioned about the show is that sometimes it's been a rare few times that I've done the show by myself because I try to check the ego as best as I possibly can. I want to make it about the other bands, and sometimes I don't do a show if I have a band cancel or something. So every time that I do the show, minus a couple people that snuck in through recommendations, mostly everything is, I'd say about 90% of who's booked on this show is who I pick because I've seen them. And so I can speak, for these guys because I played with them and I like their sound. And it's funny because when you were talking about the sound, we're going to play some of the music in a minute. And we're going to do that throughout the show, right? So this way everybody gets to hear about it instead of us just talking about it. But the other thing when I was watching you guys play live, one of the things that's important, it's going to sound corny, is the way that a band looks. I can't stand going to a show and seeing bands in fucking, combat shorts, and
you just rolled out
cargo
shorts. Right?
Yeah, and a backwards hat like they're listening to Limp Bizkit or something. No, I love, that band sucks. But it's 2019. I was going to keep it all positive.
Yeah. First show, you already
There's some
people
digression
down.
already.
Yeah.
You're putting people down, right?
Yeah, well, you know,
It happens.
They made a lot of money, dude. I
Yeah,
don't think they're gonna
yeah.
get pissed off that
No,
little
no.
skinny Mexican dude from
No.
fucking San Bernardino doesn't like their band. I mean, shit.
Yeah,
but
they'll be okay.
But you guys look the part. You guys play the rock and roll, and it reminds you of the early Sunset Strip era, and one of the things that well, I'll talk to you guys about this just real quick for you guys to know about me, right? So, I'd say in the '80s I was really big into rock and roll and heavy metal, and then I discovered punk rock, and so I got into punk rock and I've been playing in punk bands for the most, better part of 20 years, and then now the band that I'm in now was kind of punk, and now it's kind of going towards this rock and roll side. And so
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot more into bands like Lucifer and the Helicopters and just more straight up, hard rock and roll. And I've been introducing some of my friends that I grew up with into the scene, and they were coming to shows, and they're like, watching bands like the Corn-Fed Project, and,
Right.
and these bands,
Friends
and
of ours.
they're like, yeah, there's a rock and roll scene, and it seems like it's starting to come back. I think
It's coming back from the people that were there, if you've noticed.
Yeah,
Because, part of our sound also is that you had to have been there to kind of... This isn't the type of music that you sit in your room and kind of get it down in about 3 weeks. I mean, this comes from a lot of years of playing with this guy, learning how songs go, establishing our sound, and it's amazing how the resurgence of rock is and where we fit with that now. We can play with anybody. I mean, we've played with the Corn-Fed Project before, I believe. We played a lot of these bands, and it's people. You're right. A lot of people are really into it. It's drawing a lot of people in. It's a generational thing. I still think some of the millennials it's new to them. They're a little risk adverse, I think, to get into it. They go into it, I think, with a little bit of mockery, like, look, I'm doing rock poses and rock dance. But in the reality is, it just sounds a hell of a lot better when you really got, a lot to lose up there on stage,
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's well said. And you're right about it's been 5 years, so I know it sounds like it's been 2 decades, but yeah, this unit's really come together, and of course Robert just,
That was the proverbial icing on the cake,
Yeah.
is having him in the band.
he just bought him. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, I better learn how to play bass. he's actually, I got to get with it.
It really contoured our sound to like where Minnie and I had an idea what we were going to sound like.
Yeah.
We didn't set out to say, hey, we want to sound like Cheap Trick, or we want to sound like Hanoi Rocks or something like this. There was no posturing like that at all. It was just, here are some songs and what can you bring to the table? And when Robert came on board, it really put a lot of new life into songs that we had played in the past that we're starting to pull into our circulation of a set list now that we just couldn't play before. The songs just didn't have the energy behind them, with the lineup that we had. Now,
Right.
as a 3-piece, it's like we make a lot. I mean, we have to produce a lot of sound.
Yeah. No,
You know?
I want to ask you all about that. But before we keep going on, I want the listening audience to hear you guys. So this way, instead of us just talking about it, we need to hear it. So, Manny, dude, you're the DJ today, brother. What do you want to hear?
I'm the DJ today.
You pick the song.
If you're in your car, no, don't go there. Okay.
Don't fill out that check yet.
yeah. Don't touch that dial. You don't know where it's been.
You sent a couple of tracks. So we
did.
got the CD and the tracks.
Let's do One Glorious Moment.
All right, B,
And-
you got that pulled up for me?
And that's an old one. Like Steven was saying, it lost some punch. And then Robert jumps on board, and it feels good. And that's what's so neat, playing with you guys the other night. This is kick-ass bands. I mean, was it Deal Breaker? One of your tunes?
Yeah.
Good Lord. I mean, it was like AC/DC needed that song, in your face. And we always get kind of worried, which I think is smart that they put us on early, because, we're not sure how we're going to be received. Because, I'm doing like a fading Teen Idol thing up there, and I got these handsome cats. And then and it's like the music, I lean more towards teeny bopper, because you're young, I'm an older guy, and I like that whole
Here we
shit.
go again.
Here we go again.
Where's the local high school?
Okay, watch it. But, so we always wonder how we're going to be received. And when you came up to us and said hi, and I hadn't met you before, and I was like, oh my God, and you asked us, we're just really honored and blessed to
Yeah,
be here.
just
Thank
humbled.
you.
Just humbled.
Thank
We're
you.
humbled because
Thank you.
you're up there blowing fucking, the walls down.
Thanks.
Yeah, and we're like, we often wonder, how do we fit in? But we know we have a little thing, a little hook, and we'll get everything warmed up for everybody else.
Trust me, dude. You guys are good, dude. And
Thank you.
You wouldn't be here if you weren't.
That's what we feel.
right.
We're on
We
it.
appreciate that.
All right, B. So let's let the listening world listen to maybe the first time for you guys. This is the Glimmer Stars. And what's the track called again?
One glorious moment.
One Glorious Moment. You're listening to the Black Lung Show on the world famous kaoticradio.com.
One glorious moment, as if by chance. Well, I crashed and burned at a wayside dance. You were my good thing, in a place gone bad. So I gave my heart away, it was all that I had. And like a vagabond, too proud to steal. Well, I wanna feel one glorious moment. One glorious moment. It was all so clear. You came together, and I was near. And like the lonely night, well, it's cold as steel. Well, I wanna feel one glorious moment. One glorious.
Once again, you're listening to the Black Lung Show live on Kaotic Radio. That was the Glimmer Stars. I'm here live in studio with the band. You can wave at everybody if you guys are watching. Is everyone out there hearing it okay? Bruce says yes. Cool. All right, Bruce. You guys know him?
Yeah. Hey, Bruce.
Hi, Bruce. I think so. Yeah.
Bruce Kilgore?
Oh, wonderful man.
Cool.
Yeah,
All
very
right.
good
We got
guy.
some, we got some, we got some
Beautiful
people.
man.
Got some people watching. All right, so the listening audience got to hear you guys for the first time. So let's talk about the three-piece thing again real quick, because one of the things I like doing on the show is actually so I keep saying that the DJ thing. So I like talking to bands from like musician to musician, right? Our band is 5-piece, right? So we got the dueling guitars, and we've got guys trading off on the leads, and and then playing the rhythm. You got to do it all by yourself, brother. That's a tall task right there.
The role of guitar with this band is entirely different, and it's different for me because I got to kind of produce sound that covers both the rhythm as well as a lead. Well, when you start listening to music, that plays into a cliche for role for any musician, and so this band really challenged that. So that's why when I mix it up, a lot of my playing style has changed to make it kind of seamless, that it's not a dropout because there's no other guitar player backing you up. I try to produce the same amount of noise all the way through. So you don't like hear, okay, you just switched from lead to rhythm and vice versa, and then you lose that dead spot in a song or something like that. So
Yeah, nothing drops out.
yeah,
And you hear that spot where that bass player needs to play something.
yeah, and so you have to, everyone in the band, their roles change.
Yeah.
So, the drums, we're kind of, we direct Robert into, you got to fill some space here. So, we're not going to edit you. Just use your imagination from your repertoire to fill that. As opposed to, yeah, this is what rock people do, So it works out good with filling up that space. You'd be surprised how that gets filled up with actually trying to think through it and being able to do it live. It's a new thing for me because I've always been in bands with 2 guitar players, and someone would always go back.
So okay, let me ask you this because this is just out of curiosity. What bands have you guys been in besides the Glimmer Stars? Were you in before, or are you in other bands too right now? Currently, do you guys do that?
I was in a band, Blackbird Sky. It was the original project a few years ago, but it falls to the wayside like pretty much every other band. But no, and then I do a cover tribute band, Vintage City Rockers, with actually Tony Snow, the drummer that's on that CD.
Yeah.
And so
From
we do that
Dramarama.
from Dramarama,
right.
Giving him a plug. But this band, the Glimmer Stars that I'm in, with these guys now, that's where I want to be right now. It's like this 3-piece it feels good. It feels really good right now to do this.
Right on. You didn't do anything else besides this?
Yeah. Gosh, like you said, 20 years, and before then, I've always been a power pop guy, and this is power pop to me. It just has
With girth.
Thank you for
Girth.
that. Yeah, we're trying to avoid that word today.
No, it's a good word.
Okay, it's his word.
It's not one of the 7 words that the FCC doesn't want you to say. Girth.
That's
Yeah.
okay. You can say whatever you want here. Fuck the FCC.
Yeah.
Point entirely.
Yeah. See, told you.
Aren't they shut down anyways with the whole government shutdown thing? So screw them. Right?
Okay,
Swear away.
Yeah, just I was in a pop roots band called The Reckless Ways. I was in an old band from the 80s called The Holidays, which was like a pop cheap trick romantics thing. But I'm writing the same songs, 3 chords, and then I just give them to these guys and say, fix them, do something with them, and
Turn them into a song.
yeah. And then what about you? I know you've been around, right, Soto?
Yeah,
Say it. Come on.
I've had the opportunity to play with a lot of different people, and I'm grateful for that. That really hammered what I bring to the table for these guys. I mean, everything. And no one really worth mentioning, but just some contemporaries that I'm playing with right now. The Glimmer Stars are my #1 priority right now. And it has been for a while because it's a great outlet for me. It really challenges me. You can't bring the same stuff to the table every time. I also play bass with a few people around town as needed. The Divine Weeks, Ballrooms of Mars. In the past, I've played with City Girls Boys, Queenie Blast Pop. It goes on and on and on. Every band that everybody probably has seen at some point opening up for someone somewhere.
I love Queenie Blast Pop.
Queenie Blast Pop was a good one.
Yeah,
That was
just
Queenie Blast Pop.
Maybe you're too young. That was like
that was a
Sunset Strip
rock and roll band that was
early 90s, like the Zeros from LA style.
Yeah, that was
Thin guitar, treble,
a lot of hair.
Drunken Nights, Aquanet, right?
A lot of Aquanet. I'm even
VO5.
surprised about VO5.
Yeah.
VO5.
Right. Band fights, stealing girlfriends. Yeah, we got it. We remember that band.
So where are you guys all from? You guys all from the LA area?
Mainly from Orange County.
Yeah. I'm right.
Out of West Covina.
Yeah. San Gabriel Valley guys.
All right, that's our next winner.
All right. Well, here's a radio trick. I got to go get a beer. B, can you play us another song?
Nice.
All right. What you got pulled up, B? Just give me the sign for just one more minute. So where do you guys get like a rehearsal space or something to jam together? You guys jam at your guys' house or?
No, rehearsing in Anaheim at a good plug for Wall Sound Studio. It's a good.
Yeah, it's clean.
It's a good place. It's a real
Nice.
good place.
Joey Grillo.
We haven't really jumped to the commitment of having a lockout or anything like that as of yet, but just for how we're doing, Wall of Sound is a good place for us.
And how often do you guys jam? Is it something
enough.
steady? Not enough?
Only if we have a gig, we throw a few rehearsals together, But we're actually recording. We're going to start recording another EP this month.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that in a minute. It's B. What you got pulled up for me?
Sugar Blue.
Sugar Blue.
Sugar Blue. All right. You're listening to the world famous Kaotic Radio. This is the Black Lung Show. The band is the Glimmer Stars. Here you go.
summer Sunday. I really like it that way, 'cause love is here to stay. But since you came around, you were going places with your smiling faces and your warm embraces. Well, I want you round. You don't have to be alone, it's true. It's everything you are and everything you do. A sugar blue, a sugar blue. It's like I always told you, there ain't a Casanova, but if you let me show you, you will see. 'Cause you were going places with your smiling faces and your warm embraces. Well, it's me and you. You don't have to be lonely, it's true. It's everything you are and everything you do. Sugar blue, a sugar blue, a sugar blue, a sugar blue.
The Glimmer Stars once again live in studio here on the Black Lung Show. Look at these handsome guys right here. Yeah, see, even Bruce thinks you guys look good. All right.
Paying
Hey,
for
Bruce.
that. He's on retainer for that, actually. Thanks,
See,
Bruce.
You guys were saying you guys are recording some new stuff right now. What are you guys putting out? You're putting out another a new EP?
Yeah, another EP. You know, it's quick. It's doesn't get lost in the shuffle, and it's cheaper to record. You know.
Yeah, well, I know with the technology it's changed. I mean, it's so much easier to, I mean, there's no excuse, you know, not to go out and record and get your music out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need a record contract. You are your own record contract.
That's why I started my own. I have my own record label now. It's called First Off Records. We put out 3 albums and we're working on a compilation right now. It'll be out. And
That's your label?
I'm a partner in it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that's always healthy. That we're kind of like that DIY punk rock theory. It's like, you know, it's not our job to have someone sign us, you know. It's like we do it.
Well, there's no point anymore now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You don't make any money off of it anymore. That's what I'm saying. Things have changed so much. There's no, and I do this. That's what I'm saying. That's why I want to have this conversation with you guys, because I'm hoping that younger musicians are listening to this stuff, and because I hear a lot of bands, you know, and there's like, you know, oh, at first I would tell them, fuck pay to play. Don't ever do that shit.
yeah, that's
Don't sell tickets. There, you know,
that's unhealthy for the soul.
it's unhealthy. Well, it's unhealthy for the rest of us. You know,
Yeah.
I get mad when I'm talking to a booking agent or something, and they're like, you know, what's your draw like? I'm like, I don't know. I've never played that place before. You know.
I think people are
Good
gonna,
answer.
On a Wednesday night at 11 o'clock, can you bring 100 people? with you?
right.
Yeah,
And
sure,
I
okay.
think with that said, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of more of these pop-up type of shows happen. You know, I think Burger's been pretty good at doing stuff like that. Where they have a pop-up show where you don't fall prey to the same venue, the demands of what the venue's asking for to have ticket security, a permit, a booze license, you know, and anything. So now you can actually just go up and, you know, if you really want to be punk rock and DIY, that's how you do it. You just go set up your own show.
Yeah.
You know, you go set up your own record label. You know, you set your own parameters, and if people like it, then they come and see you. You know.
Well, I mean, the thing is nowadays you can just you put out your music and you can throw it right up on
Yeah, it's so much easier with the
Spotify and
advent of
Pandora.
the, yeah, I mean, it's
get you put it out yourself. I mean, it's really easy to digitally do it now. And
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but with us sometimes, you know, we'll get into the question about writing. Like if there's like a new song, my guitar player will come up with, you know, well, my guitar player just. He fucking plays everything, so he'll play the drums and the bass and the guitar, send the track over to me, and I'll write lyrics and you know, and then by the time we get to band practice, we already got a full song and it's like ready to go. Do you guys do that? Do you guys use the digital stuff to try to send each other new stuff, or do you just show up and like here's a lick?
Yeah. Here's a lick. Really, yeah, it's basic, and I'm like, it's the same song, and you guys have to do something, make it work. I'm a simple songwriter, right? I mean,
That's
I am.
right.
Do you write all the songs yourself, or do you guys?
they're germane for Minnie because he has to sing them and play.
Gotcha.
So he usually will come up with the whole melody, and the lyrics and the basic chord progression, and then Robert and I will start crafting it into a Glimmer Star song.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's impossible with some configurations of bands, especially with like a 4 or 5 piece band and everybody's somewhere else. This way we can show up someplace and we can start turning it into one of our songs pretty quick. That's the luxury of it right now.
Yeah, do what you want. And if I can plug Bruce, we're on it's a do-it-yourself labels, but all of our catalog is on CD Baby, which kicks it off to iTunes and Spotify and Amazon, and we're on a couple of his label, which is Slip Disc Records. So we got a couple of we just here and there, and so.
That's who that is.
Yes, Slip Disc.
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah.
We played a show out at somewhere in Upland. Where is it?
Upland. That
the Black Watch.
Black Watch, yeah.
Yeah, I met him there.
Yeah,
so that's him?
That's Bruce.
Hey, Bruce. Yeah, I met you, dude. You've seen my band play too before. We gotta set some shows up or something.
There you go. See, it's networking.
Exactly. See it. This is how it works. Right off the bat.
Probably get a message from him real quick. You know? But
show at the Black Watch, right?
Yeah.
Just hang out there.
Well, my band's from the area. Bass player lives in Upland and Rancho, and then some of us are a little bit further away. But
see, there's rock and roll everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? So it's like in the advent of how everything's been online, and you can. It's the whole cliche of you have to be somewhere for rock and roll or music. It's gone, and hunting down the record contracts is gone. It's so much better now. I think.
Yeah, the label. Take me to Disneyland, okay? And then you got me. I'm signed. Whatever. I got to ask you though. Do you guys rock San Bernardino? That's where you're from. Did you play there years ago? Like the Music Room? Remember that place?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That was a violent place.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a rough joint, man.
I was scared.
Whatever happened to the PAL boxing gym, the Pomona boxing gym? Remember that place?
Of course.
Yeah, we used to play. Yeah, we played there. We played, the Copacetic Cafe back in the day.
Remember that?
The Ritz out in Riverside?
The Ritz, yeah. Spanky's.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Spanky's Cafe, yeah.
Yeah, Spanky's.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool places back in the Inland Empire. Not so much now anymore. And then the best one was the Showcase Theater. That was the all ages one in Corona.
Right.
We got to play we played there up until it closed.
I saw the Rosillos play there.
Did you?
Yeah.
I got my best show that I ever played there. I got to open it for the Addicts, and I was stoked. That was one of the best ones.
There you go.
So, what are you guys planning on doing now? Once the EP comes out, you guys planning on doing any touring at all? And it's a little rough,
Yeah, it's a damn work schedule. My job gets in my way of my tour thoughts and hopes.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have day jobs that ruin everything.
Yeah, I got that. I got one of those too.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to play weekends.
We've played down in San Diego. I mean, if it's scheduled outright, we get out of town quite a bit.
Do you guys do all your own booking? You guys have anybody that helps you out with that?
We've been getting a lot of help from a lot of people, actually. So we're hoping that we can kind of return the favor and start leading some of the shows ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. Ginger and Bruce and you.
Big help from a lot of people. So
everybody's
we appreciate
helping each other. It's great.
That's awesome. Where do you guys play down in San Diego?
Where did we play? We played in Chula Vista, actually, of all places. And that was an awesome show, actually.
Silver Dollar.
The Silver Dollar Saloon. Oh, my God.
It was great. And then up north, like in Ventura, you've played there.
Sansucci Lounge?
That's where we're actually talking about doing a show there in a couple of months.
It's great. Go. It's beautiful.
You'd be a fool not
It's great. And they give you pizza after, too.
It's a hell of a putt, but it's worth it.
I'm sold now, shit.
Yeah, and it's small.
You won't get paid, but you get pizza.
Yeah.
And I think you do get paid. We got paid every time we played up there.
Yeah.
No, it's a fun place to play.
Yeah.
All right. So I asked this to all the bands so I can get to know you guys because I can listen to the music and I can hear, influences and stuff like that. So instead of asking the same boring question, I want to know this question. And we'll play a song too. This way I don't have to throw you right on the spot and you don't have to answer it right away. If I was booking a show and I offered you the chance to open up for any band that you could ever dream of, it could be alive or dead, I don't care. What would be the dream gig for you guys to play? Ponder that. While B, you want to get up another song for me? All right. What you got pulled up? What you got pulled up, B? There you go.
There it is. this.
The Glimmer Stars.
If I could, I would. If I could, I would. Follow through with promises made. Hang on and never fade. If I could. If only was just a little hip, would you take a little trip with me to the far away? Oh yeah, I'll make a better day. If I could, I would. If I could, I would. If I could. Could you just I know I'm going out of my head again. I'm kissing the stars to be with you again. Oh, you're my only
That was an abrupt end. All right.
Nice job, B.
All right, man. So that was the Glimmer Stars again. And the question I asked before the song. Yeah, there we go. I did meet him. Yeah, it is Bruce. All right. Right on, Bruce. Yeah, we got to do some stuff together. I got a record label now and a bunch of bands, and we'll do some stuff. And then if you want, come in here in the studio and shoot the shit with us. And if Glimmer Stars want to come back, you guys are always welcome.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
You guys, all right. Let's start on my left with Robert. First band, if I'm a booking agent and I booked you with any band that you could ever dream of, who would you want to?
Of course, it would be Kiss, but 70s Kiss, not the latest version of the high-priced tribute Kiss band.
It would be with the all original members, right?
All original
Peter,
members.
Chris, and Ace Frehley and
Ace
everybody.
Frehley, that's
all right. All right. Manny, you're deep in thought.
I am deep in thought. Probably Cheap Trick.
Okay,
Yeah, you know.
that's cool.
Yeah, Cheap Trick. That whole pop genre, Cheap Trick, Romantics.
Let me ask you this, and this is because I like doing the show like I would do on like when I'm at my house drinking a beer and talking to a band and just talking to them like asking them questions. What do you think about? Because I saw Cheap Trick. The last time I saw Cheap Trick was in Chicago, I think, and they come on with that whole moniker, the greatest rock and roll band in the universe. For me, I'm like,
I heard that.
yeah, they do that, and they had the Simpsons come on too, like on the screen, and like the greatest rock and roll band in the world. I'm like, do you really fucking need to do that? Like, I like you, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if you're the greatest rock and roll band in the world. I got your records. I came to see you fuckers, but you don't got to throw it. You don't have to tell me, you know?
Right.
How about you let me judge that? I don't know. Do you guys find that egotistical at all, or does that bother you? Do you care?
Well, doesn't Kiss come on and say the hottest band in the world?
What
To
was
me-
that, what was that Bill Gazzari thing? Only the best-looking guys get on my stage.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
That's dating herself. Sorry, but there was Bill
all right.
Gazzari, man. Someone Google that one.
It's like don't do that. Just come on and play.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we're here.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. You don't need to be told that.
All right. So Cheap Trick, Kiss. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it into the obscure pool here for a little bit.
Bobby Darin?
Yeah, no. The Only Ones. Have you guys ever heard of the
Of
Only
course,
Ones?
of
The
course.
Only Ones.
Power pop band from the late 70s.
Yeah, Peter Perrette, The Only Ones. Oh, God, if someone called up and had us play with those guys, The Only Ones are probably one of my biggest inspirations for contouring this band's sound.
Really?
Yeah, the only ones are. I mean, I've been a big fan of them for like a long time.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, you should spend some quality time with
Help me
the
out,
older
B.
ones.
All right, B's on it.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they're like
he's
the
my
real
engineer.
kids.
There's a great song called "Miles from Nowhere."
Miles from Nowhere.
That is probably when I heard that song, and I would say the Ruts. I'm a big Ruts fan.
I like the Ruts.
Shine on Me. When I heard Shine on Me from the Ruts, and I heard Miles from Nowhere by the Only Ones, is the two songs that I heard when Minnie invited me to play with the band. And I said, God, if I was ever in this band, I would love to open up for the Ruts or the Only Ones. So how's that for the...
Great answer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But it was only because it inspired me, because I saw them play live, and I was like, man, you got to bring a different game to the table with this band. You know, this isn't like the Four on the Floor Hollywood strip rock band garbage. This is different. This is, you know, we got to make these songs hooky and catchy.
Right.
So that's what I turned to. Not the obvious choice, but the Ruts.
Good choice. And thanks to Bruce, we were able to open up for Paul Collins and the
Yeah.
Dude. Are you familiar with Paul?
Paul's another one.
He was in the Nerves, which is with Peter Case and
Wish
Jack
granted
Lee.
opening up for him.
This is like mid '70s, and he's like called the king of power pop.
I mean, he's the guy who wrote. He wrote like all those anthemic power pop songs that
You
fell into
wanted
obscurity.
the Only Ones from Here to Eternity, right?
Correct.
Good call.
Yeah.
It's rare.
See?
Miles from Nowhere.
We'll do requests for the band.
I see a woman with death in her eyes, but I don't have the time to pray for her salvation or for her soul. She walks her chosen way, but in the darkness and in the light, I have found some hope of me getting out from this underground. I can't wait to get back home, back home. Such a tender age to sell her soul for dreams that don't come true. She's like a woman whose whole life is dissolved. She's the living proof that all that glitters is not gold, and even a serpent shine. She got bitten and she'll get bitten again, while I'm sitting here watching the tide come in. You make me feel responsible for the state you got yourself in. It's impossible for you to ever be the same person again. I got us into this, I gotta get us out now. It's you and me all the way. From here to eternity, it's you and me all the way.
That is a Glimmer song.
Great song.
There we go, and we're back. See, we do take requests, but only for the band usually.
Thank you for
not
playing
the
that.
band.
That was an odd one to get
Yeah.
on the airways, but I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
No problem.
B, thank you.
B's rad. Hey,
Well-
B, where you been, man? I've seen you. You've been on tour, man. Where have you been? By the way, I haven't had you in the studio in a couple of weeks.
I've been everywhere, man.
Oh, now you're Johnny Cash,
Vegas, Florida, just traveling.
just
Yeah.
living it up, right?
No, a lot of work actually.
Oh, okay.
But it's fun. I enjoy it. No problem yet.
So,
I'll
B,
be here for at least 5 weeks though. So you no, well, not next weekend, but after that for at least 5 weeks.
all right.
So I'll be here.
All right. So, hey, B, I'm going to start putting together a list of all the bands that I've had on the show for the last few years and some of the music that I've collected from them. And then we'll start, I want to start doing the plugs, you know, with, for everybody listening, what I'm talking about, and for you guys, is that the station is changed in 2019. It's in a good way. So when my show's not on, you're going to be able to download a free app. We have it right now. Maybe I should let B talk about this, but the bands that have been in studio, bands I've played with, bands I've worked with, I'm going to take their music and we're going to put it on rotation. So, you know, that what I was talking about, that terrestrial radio, you just turn on the app and you can hear the weirdos and you'll hear the Glimmer Stars now. If you guys want, you know, it's up to you. Yeah, we'll put you guys on rotation. And so it's going to be cool, you know, giving people something different to listen to, you know, and discovering new music, you know. That's the whole show is. That's what this show is about, and that's what I've always been about. I love discovering new bands. Right? I'm not one of. I'm going to take it back a little bit to punk rock because the show started off as a punk rock show, and as I've kind of graduated, or I don't know, morphed with the band that I've been playing with the guys. Yeah, evolved. Thank you. That's what I was.
Evolution.
That's the word.
Matriculated.
Right. I got into this band, and all the guys were a lot more rock and roll oriented, and so they started letting me listen to other bands that you know.
That's how you learn. If you went into a band, like if we were a band of all the same like minds, we'd get nowhere. You know, the challenge to this band is that, you know, everybody, I mean, there's this huge polarity with everybody in the band.
Yeah.
And we use that to our advantage, you know. I mean, we need a drummer like Robert.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's you have this music that needs a drummer like Robert. Okay, you know, and to back up someone like Minnie and to carry what's going on with me. Vice versa, going this way. You need a guitar player that makes a lot of noise, fills a lot of space, that goes that way.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, that's one of the biggest magic tricks with any band these days, you know, and being creative and being, you know, able to still keep playing and provide a challenge to the listener.
We carry each other on stage. You know, we know how to back it Minnie. We know how to bring it, you know.
I'll throw an octave.
And that comes from different backgrounds.
I'll throw an octave
Yeah.
at these fuckers.
I mean, you know, if Robert was an emo drummer, it would be probably a little technical and a little on the thin side, you know. And
Right.
I think I'm playing to a stereotype. Forgive me, audience.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
But you know, this is a Kiss drummer. This is a drummer with a 26-inch kick drum that has no pillow in there, so it's just gonna boom, boom all fucking day.
Yeah.
So, but that's what you need, and that's where you got to go get it. You got to get it from the rock guy, you know. And you can't. You want to have some. The word that we like to use is girth, but you know, and that's not a bad word. But
No,
you
that's
know,
cool.
This,
No, it's
beer,
a good
this beer
word.
can have some girth, you know.
Yeah, thanks.
But you know, that's what makes the music exciting. Going back to the rock thing, if you make the music energetic, and it's and the energy's carrying those hooks, you're going to draw people in because they're like, wow, what was that? I wasn't expecting that. You know, we turn heads at a lot of the shows we play because we don't look like the other bands that are going up on stage. We don't sound like, we may have all the trappings of the stage gear that a lot of the other bands have, like guitars, amplifiers, drum cymbals, things like that. But, you know, it comes out a lot different with us, I think.
Well, and as a three-piece, we have to bring it because we're just a three-piece.
Mm-hmm. There's no guitar player to lean on. You are there is no bongo drummer. You are the bongo drummer, you know?
You got to fill up a lot of air,
Yeah.
and that's what we try to do.
Well, like I was saying too, a good friend of mine, Jim, was telling me, our songs are familiar. You've heard them before, you know, especially if you're a little bit older. I heard that, but then, it's
It's where we're coming from.
yeah, you know. But you were saying, you jumped in with a bunch of harder rockers, and then you've learned from them some new shit.
Yeah,
As you're singing and ferocious, you're
Yeah, it's completely
'Cause you're-
different what I'm doing now than what I was doing 20 something years ago.
Your
Like in-
old punk rock stuff that you were doing.
Yeah, but when I started playing probably in like the mid '90s, and it was like Misfits, Ramones, Black Flag, just screaming and all
Nothing
that
wrong with
stuff.
that.
No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I came it, but it was weird because and that's the same thing like you guys are saying. Like I came into a rock and roll band, so I bring the punk attitude towards the rock and roll band, and so that's why our songs sound a little bit different. So that's a good.
It adds a
that's good-
dimension.
yeah, it's different. That's why when people ask like, what do you guys sound like? It's hard to compare because there's not a lot of bands that sound like us.
I couldn't nail you guys down. I mean, I heard when Chris and Mike were going at it, it was like, okay, there's some muscle. I heard some AC/DC, but I didn't. And your bass player's sick. He's fucking great, right? I mean, he's a beast. And then you're killing it. And it's hard. It's hard.
You learn a lot
it's-
of lessons playing with different people.
Exactly. That's what I've been in a lot of bands too over the years, and that's been the best quote I ever got, or best advice I ever personally got was from my original drummer, because he had started going off and playing in band, and like he used to come from like a big gothic and industrial type influence, and would always I'd be listening to Nights Are Ebb with him, and like I'd listen to all the crazy punk, ska, rockabilly, classic rock. I got a bunch of weird music at my house, and I've listened to all that, and I've kind of, it kind of blended all that together. And so my question to you guys would be like, do you guys have the same kind of problem that we're having right now? It's not really a problem. I guess it's like, see, for me in my band, I'm usually the one that does most of the booking, right?
Right.
And so since I come from this punk rock background, I'm like, fuck yeah, I want to play with Channel 3 and I want to play with Ill Repute and all the, my favorites. And then we get to the shows sometimes where we get booked with other punk bands and, all these kids are sitting there with all the spikes and the mohawks and shit. And then we come up there and we're playing rock and roll. It almost looks like, when a dog's looking at you and they're confused, like kind of turn their head sideways, like, what the fuck are they playing? Some rock and roll.
Expectation is imprisonment. So you have an audience that has an expectation to go see hardcore all night.
Yeah.
And then they go throw in the quasi-punk, quasi-hardcore, quasi-rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what's happened. They're like, we're expecting to see this.
Right.
And they're like, wow, what's that? And it's a gamble because your band, like our band, we get thrown in with everybody. And we break that.
What's been some of the weirder shows that you got booked? Is there
All of them, really. There's never. But that's it. It's when you break that expectation of the audience, it's either really super rewarding for them, or they just go back to the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
We don't have a power pop audience. There's no such thing as a power pop audience. There's not like a bunch of guys like in denim jackets and polka dotted shirts and pointy boots running around town, like spray painting on walls and flying for their band. Those days are long gone. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like now when we go play, it's the skill of the rock drummer. It's the skill of the singer-songwriter and the guitar player that comes, and we just kind of hope that
You get it or you don't.
you get it or you don't.
fair? Yeah, no, that's a good answer. That's a
Yeah.
good answer. 'Cause
And if you don't, guess what? It's only 30 minutes long.
Yeah,
And you can either go to the pisser or go to the bar, right?
That's what we tell people. If you don't like us, we're going to be done in 35 minutes.
And if you don't like it, you're going to have that tune in your head, whether you're like, where did I hear that song from?
Yeah, keep it catchy.
Yeah, that little
Keep it
Mexican
catchy.
was singing that song. It's stuck in my head. I can't get it.
All right, so let me ask you from I guess writer to writer, right? So sometimes when I write a song, I always start with a hook. I always work chorus out. That's just usually what I do. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get a hook in there, and like I'll come up with some good phrasing or something. Like the last song that we played at the. I won't get into it, but I wrote the chorus first, and I was just like, man, that would work great in a song. And I wrote the chorus, found the song that it fit in, because sometimes I'll just keep a notebook and I'll be like, I'll wait for the song where this fits. And that's how I do it. So how do you come up with each song? Is each song different? Does it come from a different place? Do you get an idea about a subject you want to write about, or do you just sometimes you just start playing a lick and you're like, wow, this is going to be a cool song, and you work on the lyrics later? How do you do
Just
that?
like you, it's a hook up here.
Okay.
And then I go home and find my acoustic and think, I wrote this 32 years ago. No, it's so, yeah, I don't come up with the thought, lyrical or anything. It's just the hook in my head, the chorus. And then you just like you, Ryan, start with the chorus and then bring in the verses, you know. And it's all pretty simple.
Right.
You know.
Well, I can hear them in your songs, and I like that too.
Simple songs.
Right. And what I've always told people, like if they've ever asked me, you know, is like my favorite thing about a band would be like the Ramones, because if you listen to the Ramones, it doesn't matter if you don't know the lyrics, you're gonna sing the fucking chorus. You know what I mean?
Because remember, anything more than 3 chords is showing off.
Is that a shot to my guitar players?
No, that's Bo Diddley's comment about his review of the Ramones.
Yeah, and remember, don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Wow.
That's the alcohol time. No. That's true, right?
That we're gonna have to put that as one of the hooks in there. We're gonna have to tape that and loop that and put that right in before we play a song.
But yeah,
Boris goes to the chorus. But you know, you get what I'm saying, right? A Ramones song, right?
Of course.
You know, everyone can chant "Lobotomy," and then you might not know the rest of the song. So yeah,
those are genius songs.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I hear that coming with your guys' music. Other thing I was going to ask you too is like, how much has punk influenced you guys at all? And by when I say that too, let's hold on, because there's always this big fucking debate on punk rock. I'm not talking about the Mohawky exploited punk rock. I'm talking about the OG 1970s CBGBs, like Television.
You're talking to the wrong guys, buddy.
No, if I can answer that, because being an older cat.
Well, because I hear it's like sometimes, were you listening to the Buzzcocks at all? Was that
Buzzcocks, Ramones, and that's like you said,
scratching the surface.
Yeah, I mean that's what I grew up on as a teenager. You know, my buddies and I with classic rock, and then all of a sudden this punk came out of nowhere, and I was kind of like, don't put that shit on. No, you guys are missing it. And, you know, you think about the Ramones, they're the most pop band of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bubblegum Hooks and Beach Boys sped up, basically. And so, yeah, those influences are totally there. Pistols. More Ramones. Buzzcocks, Jam.
Yeah.
You know.
I can hear that.
And because that's my age. That's my trip, you know.
Right on.
How about you? You're much younger, right?
No, but you know, like when I was starting out, you know, we didn't have the internet, and if you wanted to get exposed to new music, and you were a kid, you had to rely upon older kids to go take you out, to go to clubs. You had to seek. In other words, you had to go seek out what this phenomenon of punk rock was. Nowadays, you know, you wake up in the morning and it's like, do I want a country western day or do I want a this kind of day? You have all kinds of stuff that's just readily available for you on so many different levels as a human being, which would influence like your music, how you raise your family, well, blah, 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 whatever, okay? But like punk was like, back what Minnie was saying, it was an amalgamation of, you had this Van Halen, LA scene, Dubrow, rock scene that was coexisting with the Weirdos, X, the Nerves, and the Germs. So you'd be at the Whiskey, Madame Wong's, the Troubadour, something like that.
The Mask.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't around for that, but you know, you'd go to the Whiskey, and one night would be like 45 Grave and the Alley Cats, and the next night was Dubrow and Stryper.
Yeah.
So this is 1980, 1981, 1982. You know, you had a lot of tail end of the rock scene thing going. And that's what influenced me, was that, you know, I grew up with what was happening at the time, you know. If, you know, I was just like, punk was to try to get away from the stereotype and the trappings of all the glitz and glamour and veneer and give you something stripped down. So you got the Pistols, you got the Ramones, and then it started developing. You couldn't be the Ramones forever. You started getting better and started developing as a musician, and then you end up getting the Damned Black album, or like, you know, Phantasmagoria. People started developing and their careers started going places. But with us, man, it's when we hit it off, it was all off of.
Yeah.
Thanks, B. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Yeah.
Look at that.
This will probably shut me
I'm
up.
good, Pete. Thanks.
And for me, I wasn't into punk. See, I grew up just Zeppelin, Sabbath, you know, Deep Purple. I was into the big drums, and so that's what I hear is drums. If your drums
got to sound good no matter what.
Yeah.
If the drums are too tinny, I mean, you're not going to get my attention. It's got to have big drums, you know, to carry you through. You know, there's got to have the beat.
Right.
So anything, Bunny Carlos, Cheap Trick drummer, you know, he swings, you know, he's really good.
Right.
So, but then when I saw Kiss, just the commercial, I was like, okay, that's it. That's what I want to do. You know, that's who I want to be. But, you know, I'm not him. But, but, you know, Peter Criss, he's the guy that got me going, you know. He's the guy.
That was the guy that did,
that was
that did
the
it for
guy,
you?
yeah.
What was the band for you, Minnie? The just it doesn't have to be one. What was the first band that made you say, you know what, I want to do that too?
It would be the Ramones. Seriously, it would be being a high schooler and Rodney Bingenheimer, a DJ like yourself, Ryan. I don't care what you say, you're a fucking DJ.
Oh, I love Rodney. Don't get me wrong, dude. I was gonna call myself Ryan on the Rock, but I was like, that's biting a little too fucking hard.
But you are a DJ. You are a DJ and a damn good one. And
thanks.
But yeah, listening to the Ramones, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I got to write songs. I got to do this, you know? And it was so simple. And the Runaways, I have a Runaways t-shirt on.
Yeah.
And the Runaways and Nick Gilder and all these. I liked Image too, you know, of course. Glam rock, T-Rex, Bowie. But when I heard those songs, I'm like, I can't write that good, but I can write a song, you know? And that's it. That was a time in my life.
Right.
And and then it kind of evolved to power pop, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So power pop, and really thanks to Bruce, have played some power pop shows recently that would have been really cool with other power pop bands, you know.
If you know any of them, man, you guys are welcome. If you guys,
yeah,
you know, send them my way if they want to be on the radio, and we'll.
I don't know if there are any.
But you know, we loved like opening up for you guys last week because we totally get what you're kicking ass.
Yeah.
And I look at my job as, look, I'm just here to get everybody ready for what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Well, that's very nice, and
it's true.
that's humbling too. But the thing is that I wouldn't sell yourself short, man. I would, like, if I wasn't playing, I'd go watch you guys' band. You know, you guys are good musicians, and you surprised us. I'll say that. You know,
Nice.
the guys in my band are the nicest people you're gonna ever meet. But their musical tastes are picky assholes. They don't like.
As it should be.
You hear that, Chris? 666.
Oh, they no. I'm being dead honest, and they know it. These fucking guys. Because I always get excited. Because like I said, I'm the one that books mostly everything, right? And so I'll come. I'm like, dude, I got us this great show with this band, and they're like, oh, they're all right. And, you know, and then I got, you know, when I told them about Ginger's birthday, they're like, yeah, of course. And then they were like, who are we playing with? And so I'm watching you guys, but I'm also watching my guys watch you guys, and I can see everybody in the front sitting there bobbing their head and like they're cool because, like I said,
Are you sure they weren't bobbing their head like 19 minutes, 18 minutes, 17 minutes? No,
no, it's not like that at all. It's not like that at all.
That's-
You know, they wouldn't lie to me. You know what I mean? They were like that. They were, when they watch a band, you know, that's how I know that they're, because my band's tough to please. You know, I'm just being honest with the guys, and they tell me, they're like, yeah, we're picky as shit. You know, me, you know, I'm just stoked to be on stage. And then, like he was saying, the thing is for me is like, I think I'd take it back to like the Braveheart movie. That one great line in that movie. We didn't get dressed up for nothing. You know, if I'm going to go fucking play rock and roll, I'm going to go in there and fucking melt your face off.
Nice.
You know what I mean? That's it. If you give me that microphone, then, you know, I'm going to go.
That goes, the wonderful
so
thing
cool.
about that is that punk, as I was exposed to it, that's what it gave. That was the, punk rock was the flashlight that was given to the lost culture.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it meant, like any other thing that came out, you know, you had people dressed up in trash bags and safety pins and, you know, rolling around in Jell-O, and that was punk, all right? Mm-hmm. And then you had people that, you know, they crafted it into something, and it became like, you know, a huge industry that sells out a major venue every night, and it goes back to being an establishment again. So punk for me, as well as with Minnie, Robert included, was that it meant that you weren't chained to a certain way of playing anymore. Mm-hmm. So where Minnie comes from saying, God, I kept hearing like all these really high veneer, high production records during the 60s and 70s. I'll never get there. But then here come the Ramones. Here comes Blondie. Here comes Television. Here comes Sex Pistols. Here comes all this stuff. And they're like, hey, you know, we got here because we were the dudes that just got up on stage regardless, and we weren't hampered with cliche of what it was supposed to be. That's what punk gave people. And then it became, you know, a Forever 21 product ever since, you know?
Yeah.
But
Forever 21. Yeah.
yeah, you
Remember
know what
the
I mean. You can go
1994
right, but
punk
it's-
resurgence of
Right.
punk. It was like, what?
Yeah, so it's like, for me, I mean, that's when I heard the record, like when I heard like Black Flag's Nervous Breakdown for the first time, you know, mind you, Fleetwood Mac just came off the turntable, Elton John just came off the turntable, Kiki D just came off the turntable, and here comes this 45 with Keith Morris singing, I'm about to have a nervous breakdown, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean,
Exactly.
Whoa, put that back on again. What did that guy just say?
Right.
And then it's like, what's that noise? That's the bass. Well, I thought bass was boom, boom. No, it's punk. Bass is whatever it wants to be. So punk said, do whatever the fuck you want, because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
Not, hey, I got to go up and put the costume on because the record company wants me to sell like shows and records and push product. It's like, if it's art, why not treat it like art?
Exactly.
And that's what punk did. Punk wasn't about getting a mohawk and a leather jacket. It was about like, fuck it,
you.
dude. It was like, fuck it. I don't have to be Fleetwood Mac to make it. I don't have to sing like Christy McVie, or I don't have to write songs like what's his name? Like Bruce Springsteen or something like that to make it. You know, I can go out and I can just put my thoughts down and do it.
Right.
And then sure enough, he had little by little by little by little, it started growing.
Yeah.
And then you get people like, hey, wow, like what you mentioned. Wow, we saw these guys take the stage. Looks like a rock band. Smells like a rock band, but wow, there's something a little different about that. You know? And that's our goal, is because we don't put on a Blondie record and go like, all right, that's us next month. That's gonna sell.
Exactly.
We're gonna, you know, we look at it and say, fuck it, you know, we're never gonna nail that high note, but that hook is there because, man, if we got stuck listening to Bad Company and like Led Zeppelin our entire lives, we'd be measured off of that. You know, and that's someone else's myth. You know, that whole myth of rock is somewhere else. With the Glimmer Stars, that's why we can go to the rehearsal studio and he goes, God, I got this thing buzzing around in my head. And about 10, 15 minutes later, it's ready to go up on stage.
Paulina.
You know, you can't, if you were Led Zeppelin or someone like that, it'd be like, well, you know, we got to talk to management and we got to book a studio. And well, what's the audience going to think about this music that we're embarking on?
Is that
you know,
what voices sound like?
right. You know what I mean? But with us, it's sort of like, you know, there's been songs that we've messed around with in the studio that never even left the studio. But, you know,
I was talking about that. I think I was talking with Vince. We were talking about the record labels and stuff like that. And I was watching a documentary, and I think I was watching the singer from Testament, and he was talking about back then there was a formula. This is the same thing you're talking about right now that the record labels did. If you remember back too, every band used to come out with the hard rock song, and then then the ballad, then the ballad, and it was the
so it just kills creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the long run. Look, you're selling records, you're pushing product. Okay,
Right.
so when someone goes, "Hey, how are the record sales doing?" Oh, they go get some of the intern. The intern goes, "Oh, you know, look, they're capped off right now. It looks pretty shitty. All right, we're not into that anymore. Let's go back to Latin Kid and the lowered car and the booming speakers. Let's go back to that crap again."
Yeah.
And then they go back to, let's go back to hard rock again. They bounce back and forth. You know, that is soul robbing for the listener. It's soul robbing for the producer. And somewhere along the line, they lost that angelic spark, you know, where it's like, I want to do music to be benevolent. You know, I want people to listen to if it's good or bad. Why I gravitate to Minnie is that we don't play to that. Like, hey, dude, we got to, you know, there's some record company guys here. What record company guy is going to be? What? There's not even such thing as there's no such thing as a record company anymore.
Right.
And if an A&R guy's coming out anyway, it's sort of like, you know, what's that? You know, hamburgers and root beer. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
We play rock and roll for ourselves. We don't play it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's it. You know.
And then
so-
go back to your point. I want to tell you this too, because you said what punk was for you. Well, for me, this is what was great. It was because late '80s, early '90s, right? I was really big into metal, and I was going to see Kiss, and I was going to see Pantera, and I'm watching all
Those
these.
are huge, big acts at that time in the late. I mean, that's when it was.
It was enormous, right?
The tank was full. The cylinders were fucking
Right.
firing,
But I
you
would
know?
be there on stage, and what I didn't like was that these guys would come out larger than life, like gods. And there would be security guards, and I'd always be up in the front, like little asshole I was. And they'd be, I'd be trying to jump on stage and stage dive and have fun, and they'd always be knocking down. And
that's
then,
San Bernardino. Yeah.
Well,
that's a San Bernardino in your blood. Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I get. Well, see, maybe I'll just.
No, it's the Mexican.
Badass. You're badass.
Yeah.
Right?
Whenever there's offense in the Mexican, someone's going to be going over
You've
it.
been downplaying your badass thing for a while, Ryan.
Well, dude,
I saw you last weekend on stage, fucker. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
I'm incognito.
When I saw you go on stage, I go, wow, they got their own roadie. I didn't know you were going to be out there singing, though.
I was like, this guy's voice. Anyways, go ahead.
I
Finish your thought.
get that a lot. No, it's just when I got into punk rock, I went and saw
You saw in the hard rock band.
Yeah, I was always going to see Skid Row and Pantera and all that stuff, and then I went to the Copacetic and I saw the Dickies, and there was no security, and you could get up and sing with the band, and I was like, this is rad. And then I saw all my friends at the time.
Let me stop you there. Is that what's interesting is that the Dickies probably had more of an impact on where you are now as a musician than Pantera did. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, no,
Okay,
no,
because
absolutely.
You know why? You were able to go up to Stan Lee and go, you're the dude that wrote Banana Splits, and I can touch you. And afterwards, I can go talk to you.
Yeah. I sang with him.
Just think. You probably spent about $100 in ticket money, transportation, buying records, paraphernalia over the years, hundreds of dollars to go see Pantera, and you're 40 feet away, and you're like, that guy speaks to me. How?
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I saw that, and funny thing too, I was actually singing on stage with Stanley. He's doing the punk rock karaoke.
Isn't that rad?
Yeah, I was looking at him. I was like, man,
Was that recently?
Maybe like last year, I think. We opened up for them at the punk rock karaoke over at the Maui Sugar Mill.
That's a great place. We played there several times. That place rules.
That one, or
You were
Riverside.
a kid at the Copa, which is Riverside.
Yeah,
Right.
the first
San
time I saw him,
Bernardino.
yeah, because I was in high school when in 91, 92, stuff like that, and my friends were opening up for him, and I was watching him. I was just like, you know what? Shit, punk rock's a lot different because listening to heavy metal, right?
Right.
I can never be Bruce Dickinson. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna hit these fucking
My
notes.
point entirely.
See, exactly. I was like, and then I saw punk rock. I'm like, fuck, I can do that. Just give me a beer and a microphone.
But that was like that's when the bus pulled up.
Yeah.
It opened the doors, and that was the bus that you got on.
Exactly.
And that's the one that carried you.
Yeah.
And that's the bitchin' bus, the punk bus. It wasn't the, hey, I'm going to stick around for the Bad Company bus to come around. It's like, fuck that. You know what I mean? It's like, those were the dudes that were saying punk sucks and I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why would I want to pal up with those guys? Punk gives me the freedom that I can play bass this way. I can play drums this way. And that's what made it interesting.
Right. And like your point too, like that's what I'm saying. There was no internet when I was a kid.
No, you had to go out and look for it.
Everything that I saw was on MTV because, metal ruled the 80s, and so
that's where I think you got robbed.
What's that?
That's where I think
MTV?
Generationally, people got robbed because the advent of, I'm not blaming it on MTV because the radio came out. But look how many decades that we had of radio before it got put onto TV. You probably had like 50 years of radio, 30, 40, 50 years of radio before we got a moving image with it, like in the late 70s, 80s. Mm-hmm. And so your introduction to music is a lot different, where we had to go out and go, fuck, where's this band? I heard there's a band playing somewhere called Madame Wong's. We got to drive to where?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we go drive to this secret crazy place, and here's people like us. Now you're on TV.
But there's nothing
now. It's
like there was back then. Like, okay, I got to go to walk to the record store and go find an album. You know,
and that's
there's
even
nothing
gone
like that
now.
no more.
Yeah. So it's like MTV put a convenience out there for people to put like a voyeur type of experience. Like, I'm going to go to metal. I'm going to go check this out. They became a metal pro by watching it on TV. Where us, it was like, oh shit, we got to go out and be the band now. We got to find out what the what the scene's really like out there. And it's amazing how much it's changed. I mean, literally, when we even in the short time that we've played, the different people that are coming up. From opening up for Robin Zander to playing out in Silver Dollar Saloon. It's amazing.
You guys were saying that you guys have not to cut you off, but yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And to take it back a little bit too, for me, not only MTV, but I joke about this with my kids and stuff. And they're like, "How did you discover bands?" I'm like, "Well, I used to do this thing, get Thrasher magazine, and then you'd open up the T-shirt page, and then you'd look down like Corrosion, Conformity, and then you'd look at the skull, and then I'd go out and buy the record because I saw the skull T-shirt. That's how we used to do it, you know.
That's
and
cool.
That's the first time I heard of Black Flag and the Misfits was through a skateboard magazine. Anyway, you guys were talking about recording. You guys got a new EP out, and you were saying there's a Paulina. Is that the name of the song?
Yes, our last EP came out a year ago this month, and 3 songs. Everything's on iTunes and whatnot. And
you said Paulina's on YouTube, right?
Yes, because all 3 of those.
He's already on. I love this guy, man.
Yeah, B's good.
B is amazing.
I mean, he's good.
That's why I wish you were here every single week, dude. The Black Lung Show is amazing when you're here.
Yeah, B. But Paulina, we
right.
always joke as because it's very power pop, and that's my thing.
It's cool, dude. No,
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to explore. You know, we're not.
I'm a
we're
hopeless romantic, desperate fool.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you about that. As far as song lyrics go, you know, some bands are like the Dead Kennedys and sing about politics. Some bands are about drugs and alcohol. What do you mainly write about? Do you have like is there something you like to talk about?
You know what? I feel that I'm not. I don't feel that lyrics are my strength. Okay, I'm not sure what my strength is, but it's not lyrics. But I'm like I said. I think I don't write politics or drug addiction. It's more like romantic. You know.
He's a David Cassidy kind of guy.
Yes, I'm like a cream puff. I'm like a cream puff at heart. You know.
Ay, qué lindo.
Sue, right.
Sing about a long lost love.
Yeah, you know, the girl that got away. That's me.
Yeah,
you know?
sing about the one that got away.
That's kind of me. Yeah, I don't have any. I'm not deep. That doesn't sound.
He
I'm
is.
Not, I'm deep in a non-deep way. How's that?
He's deep in a 5'1" way.
Play the fucking song. I'm sorry. I don't know. No.
Wait, do you listen to a lot of 1950 stuff?
No, not 50s. I'm more like late 70s.
Okay.
You know? But I'm not a ballad schmaltzy. Like you were saying, it was funny, the formula of a hard rock band putting out that rocker, and then they go ballad, right? You were saying something like that?
Yeah, that was a big deal, man.
Yeah, we're not ballad. I'm
Cinderella.
not a balladeer. Maybe I am.
You're just a happy dude, right?
Thank you, Ryan.
There you go.
There you go.
Minnie's just a happy motherfucker, and I love this band. This band's called the Glimmer Stars.
Thanks.
B, you got it ready? All right, here you go. Once again, the Glimmer Stars live on Kaotic Radio. This is the Black Lung Show.
Waiting on the deep end. Did I go too far? I've been hit by lightning. Anywhere you are. And when she looks at me, there's nothing I can't see. When I'm far away, I only wanna stay, and I'll never be the same. Paulina was her name, her name, her name, her name, her name, her name. Waiting at the station. With your eyes so bright, and I'm late again, but everything's alright. And when she looks at me, there's nothing I can't see. And when I'm far away, I only wanna stay. Be the same. Paulina was her name, her name, her name, her name, her name, her name.
Je ne sais quoi. Je ne sais quoi.
And when she looks at me, there's nothing I can see. And when I'm far away, I only wanna stay. And I'll never be the same. Paulina was her name, her name, her name, her name, her name, her name.
All right, we're back with the Glimmer Stars. Hey, Dutchy Holmes, my punk rock brother, who does a show here on Kaotic Radio as well. He's been running. You guys got to check it out, man. Dutchy has been doing this series on David Bowie. It sounds fucking amazing. You talk about a good DJ. This is like the best DJ around.
Yeah, I've heard him.
Yeah, Dutchy. He's been doing this whole series on David Bowie. If you guys are listening to, you guys know because you're always listening to Chaotic.
I love
He's the
David
other-
Bowie stuff.
Right, I mean,
That Station to Station album, I can put that album on and just listen to that all day long.
I think that's a good transition too.
His
Right now,
birthday today or tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But the thing I loved about him as an artist too, right, was that he was always doing something different. Sorry, and transforming himself. And his music is just amazing, and
He surrounded himself with people that had their different down.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Mike Garson. You know, when he brought in Mike Garson to play piano, it was like, you know, I thought you were an avant-garde pianist, and Mike Garson's like, well, I'm a hired musician, so I'm here to play what you want me to play. You know, so there's, you know, he continually brought in people that brought that weird sound or that weird touch to the music.
Yeah.
And not saying that we're a Bowie band, but you know, it's the same thing.
You can hear
that came from punk rock.
the influence.
You know,
obviously.
It's to try something different. You know, I mean, the road more traveled, great. You're going to see the same people, the same challenges, the same rewards. With us, you know, we try to take it off the road a little bit, off the standard road, and go this way. I mean, how many people are doing jangly power pop in this day and age?
You'll hear it. I mean, in the song, it's like, okay, that's like T-Rex. Oh, that's Cheap Trick. Oh, that's, you know, whoever, someone from the 70s, you know.
It meant a lot when you asked us to, when you gave us the props, Ryan. It really did.
Well, yeah, dude, you guys are a good band,
It
and
meant
you
a
guys
lot
are,
from you.
You know, and it's cool, and thank you. You actually make me feel really good too about the whole fucking being young thing, because
you should.
Well, you should, because we're much older.
Yeah, you're younger than us.
It just gets crappy
Fucker,
from here.
You young piece of shit. I'm out.
It's all right. It's all right. No, I share a story too, and it's funny, right? We go back to the punk rock thing, right? So, day job, right? I manage a pest control company.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so I got a lot of employees that work for me, and I got millennials that work for me. And I share this story all the time. You know, if you guys listen to the Black Lung Show, you go ahead, drink a beer, or take a piss right now. It was funny because when people, because again, like you're saying, I look like the roadie when I come up on stage. I used to do like the whole Dave Vinian suit thing when I was in a glam punk band, and wear makeup and the whole shit. And people would be like, "Are you the manager?" You know, like, well, they don't expect me, and I kind of like that. I like being a little guy. I like, you know, just, you know, changing your mind about, you know, what you expect, especially even when people start hearing me speak Spanish. They're like, "Fuck, you're Mexican." Like, thank God I didn't start talking shit. You know.
Nice.
But where was I going with this? I don't know. It was a good story. It was good.
You like to surprise people when they're the punk rock, and then they see you and they're, what the hell? This guy can belt out tunes.
Yeah, and then the same thing you're saying too about like the knowledge of music, man. I mean, I love discovering new bands. I'm still discovering bands from the 70s and stuff. I mean, I go out and buy albums. I mean, we were talking about all black punk bands. I just picked up Pure Hell.
Third World War.
Have you guys ever heard of Pure Hell?
I have heard of Pure Hell.
Pure Hell is amazing. And then I spin those records on there, and I love discovering new bands. I love the fact that I got a chance to play with you guys.
Or
and
Death. Aren't they from Detroit?
Yeah, Death from
is
Detroit.
Rad.
There's
man.
a great documentary on that, by the way, if you haven't seen that. But Pure Hell, I think, I'm not sure Pure Hell was before them or not. But that's another. So Death, not the black grindcore or what was it?
But the 70s black rock.
Yeah,
band. It was like Sabbath all day long, and you're like, you close your eyes and you're like, who is this? You open your eyes and it's like three black guys up on stage.
It's awesome. So
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, Death. There's a documentary about him. Even Jello Biafra's in it, and they're talking about how they were like one of the least understood or discovered bands because they never got signed, and they were before the Ramones, I think.
Wow.
And they were really, really. The documentary is amazing. It's called A Band Called Death, You can. I think it's on Netflix, maybe. But
Cool.
Something cool to check out. But you guys are a great band, and I love the sound. I want rock and roll to come back. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. That's it. The story. I got
Rock
it now.
and roll is back.
Yeah,
By the way.
it is.
It never really left. It just
Well, he's complimenting us. Go ahead, Ryan.
So I was saying. Oh, so at work, right? We were talking about the old thing.
Yeah.
Some kid went to
Millennials.
Yeah, I'm different at work, right? You have to be, right? You got to leave. Sometimes you got to leave this behind.
Yeah.
And so when the kid found out that I was in a band, right, and he was like, "You play in a punk band?" And he's like, "Well, like who?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I didn't want to say Black Flag or Ramones or anything like that. I try to think of something current, like a big band.
Right.
So I threw out Rancid, and I was like, Rancid. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, they were big in the 90s when the whole explosion hit. They were on Saturday Night Live. And he's still looking at me, and I'm like...
He wasn't even born yet.
That's exactly right. He was like, I was born in the 90s. And I was like, motherfucker. God damn it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, I mean, people don't realize that it's...
Time goes by quick, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's. I look at a lot of the bands that I used to listen to in the '90s, and now I used to listen to them, and now I'm playing with them, and then I get to see them, and I'm like,
Another
I just
reason why
really-
you should stick to your art, because you're gonna come up against a 23-year-old that 23 years ago. That was what 98 or whatever. Think about what's happened. I think I played like already 1,000 shows before 1998.
Wow.
And I'm not saying I'm exact. There's hyperbole there, but what I'm getting at is that now you got like, if you go copy people, like if you're like a copy band, I don't mean tribute band, but like if someone deliberately goes out and they're like, hey, we're going to do this, those kids aren't going to get you because you're calling upon your reference point or someone's reference point, not the audience's reference point.
Yeah.
So if you kind of go out as like, this is as good as the drummer is, this is as good as the singer bass player is, this is what the guitar brings to the table, that's timeless. That's always going to be around. And there's always been this famous quote between John Entwistle of The Who and Pete Townsend. And John Entwistle said, I don't get all this rap music that's out there. I just don't get it. It's obnoxious. It's a cacophony of all these different things, and I just don't get it. And Pete Townsend said, it's not your job to get it. It's your job to get out of the way and let that run its path.
Very well said.
And I've always been a firm believer of that because, what led to the success of, say, the Sex Pistols, Channel 3? I mean, I saw Channel 3 in backyard house parties in Cerritos. Trust me. Where they are now, good for them. There's an audience for that now.
Yeah.
And they're good at it.
Oh, they're great. That's one of my favorite.
They're flawless.
I love those guys.
They're flawless at it. They made that their day job. They have jobs, but I'm saying they made that their day job. And look at the reward that it got. For us, it's interesting because we got to bring a different message. It's the message of, it's art. We're benevolent in our expression. We're sincere. There's no drum track that's playing with us. There's no backing track for the vocals. I'm playing what I'm playing, whether I'm in tune or not, And it's like an art performance. It just happens right then and there.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah. Do you think it's this is a brand new question. I just thought of it right now. Do you guys think it's preserving our culture? You ever thought of it like that? Because when my wife and I are like I said, I've got kids, and my daughter's already in college and stuff like that. But we have foster children now, and so I get all these new young kids in my house all the time, and they're letting me listen to the music they're listening to, and it's to be nice, it's fucking horrible. But because they've never heard some of these bands, they've never heard Bowie, they've never heard that, and I show it to them, and they're like, "Oh, that's cool." Do you think what we're doing is kind of like keeping rock and roll alive, so that some of these new kids can actually hear something different and make up their own fucking mind? Does that make sense?
It does, because my kids are old, 27 and 24, and they listen to Queen and Zeppelin and Sabbath, all the old stuff, that I grew up on. That's what they listen to, and there's nothing out there. I mean, I love the band Avenged Sevenfold, and but it's got to be all the stuff from the 70s. I mean, I'm a big Buddy Holly fan, so 50s, 60s, 70s rock and roll is what it is for me. That's where I'll always listen to that.
Yeah.
I never grew out of that.
That's right. I grew up listening to that with my dad. My dad was the first one. I've got the whole Cruising 1956, like each and every year. I got the whole set, and I still listen to that stuff. Yeah, it actually helps with the rock and roll stuff, listening to that and just listening to the simplicity of it.
It depends what you're trying to preserve. Because all the aches and pains of being a teenager that either one of us went through was a long time ago. So an ache and pain of like a 20-year-old, I mean, I'm not going to relate to them. I'm going to be, caring and loving towards them. But when it comes to music, I'm sitting there thinking music was like the thing that I would listen to. Like if I was a kid, that was the radio under the pillow at night. You know what I mean?
The transistor radio.
The transistor radio. So,
you guys are old.
So music was like the babysitter for us. Music was like the therapist for us. Music was like the older brother or younger sister for us.
That's so true.
When we were growing up.
Yeah.
So you fast forward to like now and where we are as a culture, what are you trying to preserve? The act that we can do this?
No,
no, not for you to answer, but I'm just saying, but like when someone says, we want to preserve this, I don't want rock and roll to go away. But I'm pretty sure if you think about it, I think Guns N' Roses have had a longer rock and roll career than, say, Buddy Holly, right? Who would ever think? And then we're going to start looking back at, like, now Guns N' Roses has had how many, shows that they've come back under different, generations. Guns N' Roses has been going on for 30 years plus, right, as a brand for preserving that music.
True.
So people have that as a reference point.
But if I had the choice, I'd rather hear That'll Be the Day than Welcome to the Jungle.
No, you're
anytime.
absolutely right. I agree with you. I would too. Like, look at these guys, Rose Tattoo. Same thing. That's totally under the radar rock from Australia.
Exactly. And that's why we're going to spin some vinyl, because I haven't done it here in the last hour and a half. I feel like I haven't been doing my job properly. I love spinning vinyl. I love the sound of vinyl. Are you guys going to do it? Are you guys going to do any vinyl? I know it's expensive nowadays because we're looking into that shit too.
At the moment, no.
No?
Not really, no.
When you guys play shows, you guys, are you guys moving CDs? Because a lot of people nowadays are just like,
no,
we don't buy CDs anymore.
I found that, when we did have some product for sale, like that wasn't the first release many years ago, and now people will grab it, thanks, and they'll just download it right to their phone. So they're not even going to listen to the disc anymore. Cars don't even have CD players anymore.
CDs are like from the 80s
Of course,
now.
my car has a CD player because it's an older car.
Yeah.
But nobody else does. And
mine has a cassette player in it.
Well, I was talking to a
but
guy.
vinyl is cool, yeah.
Yeah, vinyl's great.
Very cool.
I just love the sound of it. So let's just do that.
It's so warm,
Rose Tattoo.
Exactly. There you go. Come on. Go ahead, Minnie.
Rose Tattoo here on the Black Lung Radio Show.
Listen to that sound.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, that's badass.
First thing I learned was life don't come cheap. Technical school, it was a waste of time. Making robots for some factory line. At my wall 16, the rebel had lost his teenage queen. Taking a stand for an outlaw's life. My Mars was kept ringing, you're scarred for life. She said it's God. If it's God.
All right, and we're back. This is the Black Lung Show live on Kaotic Radio. That track was called Scarred for Life. It's from Rose Tattoo's album of the same name. If you can see this, too, this is, I love these, the promotional copies that they give out that you're not supposed to sell. Found this at the San Bernardino swap meet. Like I said, I love
the cast and crew of like Mad Max right there on the front. I mean, isn't that the whole movie right there?
It's Waterworld.
It looks weird, right?
Or Waterworld, yeah. But that's Australia's got.
How much? How much?
$10. $10 this
That's good. Australia's got, for a prison colony, they sure put out some pretty fucking awesome music, man.
Well, the whole point was that as we were talking about discovering music, right? I just barely heard of Rose Tattoo within the last couple of years, and that's where I'll give some credit to these new platforms like that Spotify, Pandora type shit.
Oh
right?
yeah.
So I'm a huge AC/DC fan, right? And I'm listening to AC/DC, and then I'm listening to the AC/DC channel, and all of a sudden, this band called Rose Tattoo comes on, and they sound like AC/DC. It's that rock and roll that I love, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? And as you mentioned too, off the air, like that's a few years. I'm just a few years into discovering Radio Birdman, and I'm like, God damn, that's a great fucking band.
Yeah, that's Radio Birdman. It's amazing. It's Dennis Tech is an American. There's one American in that band, and he actually was a fighter pilot / military doctor.
Wow,
isn't that a trip?
Yeah,
yeah. Dennis Tech is a pretty crazy guy, man.
And if you said you love AC/DC, listen to Airborne. I mean, you think you're listening to AC/DC.
Are they from Australia too?
They're from Australia.
Yeah, Airborne's pretty hard.
What about Angel City?
Yeah.
Remember Angel City?
The Saints.
Well, of course, the Saints from Australia.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Angel City, late 70s, and the singer sounded a lot like Bond.
All right.
Yeah, badass. Angel City. And they changed their name to the Angels briefly. But Angel City.
The Angels.
Took a long...
No, the Angels, yeah, they were like...
Angel City was the original name.
Yeah, the Angels. Yeah, that was like
kick ass.
That singer passed away recently, I think.
Yeah, Doc Neeson, I think his name was.
Yeah, no, the Angels were fucking awesome, man.
Very
they were
AC/DC-ish.
really cool. Yeah, that singer's voice was, yeah.
See, this is why I love the show, exactly for this. In fact, there's very few things that I've kept in place since the very beginning. Because at first I didn't even when we were in a different place, I had a whole soundboard and I was doing all that. Now B's just running everything for me, which is nice. I can just sit here and drink a beer and just talk rock and roll with you guys.
Thank you, B.
Yeah,
B.
B's the man.
B rad.
So I used to do a segment, and I don't think I'm going to drop it. Because when I first started the show, I wanted to keep everything super positive. And, I don't let bands talk about, promoters. I mean, when we're playing the music or something like that, if there's a promoter you don't like, tell me, because I don't want to play for them either. But I'm not going to put anybody on blast. Limp Bizkit, like I said, that's a little bit different.
Well, we're joking.
Yeah, but...
That's like saying like Levi's over Wranglers at this point. You know what I mean? Limp Bizkit is right after the microwave oven in terms of like
it's kind of
everyone knows about it.
It's kind of like the Nickelback thing, right? Like, do we have to do that? Like, right?
Like Winger.
Yeah,
Winger.
That's
Kip Winger.
There we go.
Kip.
You know what? Good band though. Great band.
Yeah.
Really?
They just came in the wrong time.
Yeah,
They
were
got
all
lost
real
in the
people.
whole
They
hair
were real.
band.
They were real people, real players.
You know who I thought that was the same thing that I saw them recently, or I played with them recently, I can't remember, was, and I didn't like them back then, but when I saw them play live was the Bullet Boys. I thought they were a really good live band.
Bullet Boys are cool. I was in a band that opened up for the Bullet Boys.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
That's
where the rock came from, because I came from these punk bands, and all of a sudden I'm like, why am I playing with all these metal bands? And it was at a time when a lot of the LA scene was like the Sunset Strip bands were trying to repackage themselves so they can try it again in the 90s and maybe again in the 2000s. And, so then you had these bands like Pretty Boy Floyd that had like extended careers way beyond.
Yeah, I know.
Way beyond
way
beyond their shelf life.
Yeah.
Because now they're just like, hey, let's see if like this one record could keep going for another 20 years. The New York Dolls could do that because they only came out with, the Sex Pistols could do it. They only came out with one record. Look, it's like 100 years later and it's still like significant. Right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I was in a band and we opened up for a lot of these bands that were popular in the late 80s, early 90s. And they were having a second stab at it. And as I was in the scene, as a working musician, I was sitting there thinking, God, this is so different from punk rock. I mean, it's they have to carry this this thing with them for the rest of their musical career. It's not like they could all of a sudden stop being that person of that. Like, you couldn't get Slash to stop being Slash to go be somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So you had all these people that were in the scene that were locked into their destination. And it was amazing playing in these bands. And like the band that I was in was like a punk rock power pop band in a way. Really hooky, catchy, really colorful, all right? And then all of a sudden, we were playing up against these bands that were trying to have a second stab at it. Bullet Boys, remote places. And I'm sitting there thinking, God, these guys were playing in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people selling thousands of records. And now it's like a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
We're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's probably 30 people, including the 10 people that are on staff here at the venue. And I was sitting there thinking, God, I never want to be in that thing. As a musician, I always want to try to keep changing, going back to the Bowie thing.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility as artists to explore that option. Like, let's try something different. It's our responsibility to reward our listeners and audience with, we're going to take that step out and do some adventure and some looking, so that when we write songs, you're not getting the same shit over and over and over again and told to like it.
True.
So
Yeah.
that's what we try to do.
Right.
And that was a big lesson for me that I brought to the table, because when I joined the band, I was like, look at all these bands that are trying to do it again. Fuck them. Let's go do our own shit. You know what I mean? And we did. We went off and we didn't, we suffered for it, but for the most part, we walk away with a backache because we have a spine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well said. It's kind of funny because there's a lot of bands right now that are doing both, from both the rock and roll side and the punk rock side. There's like every punk band that I used to listen to is playing now. Everybody. I just.
You remember Buck Cherry?
Yeah.
See, Buck Cherry came out at 98, 99? And they were just the stripped down AC/DC 4-on-the-floor rock band, right? Now look at them. What the fuck happened?
I don't know. I haven't listened.
I heard the first Buck Cherry record. I opened up. I remember them around the scene and stuff like that. But I was like, wow, if these guys make it, we're in store for a good future, because it's just one guitar player, one drummer. It's just 4 people on stage making a lot of fucking noise. And I was like, holy shit, I hope this works. And now I look at them, and now they're like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, was it the
backing tracks?
That bitch song or whatever. Oh, dude, it's so bad. And then I didn't even catch it.
When do you join the dark side? We never joined the dark side.
Good for you. No, because I recently saw that too. That there's, and it's not a bad thing for me because I'm a punk fan. But like, I'm also I saw like even just yesterday, like LA Guns has a new album coming out, and hopefully they change their sound. I mean, I
saw them live.
Yeah, they were cool. Prima Donna?
Prima Donna's LA Guns. Yeah, we opened them in my other band before. Don't move the drums around because they're set up just for me. Yeah, fuck you, watch me.
See, that's the great thing about punk. I never really had that Prima Donna attitude with most bands I've ever played with. I don't think I can think of.
Cool. I was filling in for a band 10 years ago. Did a couple of shows, and I was lucky. We got to open up for the China White.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
and they were super nice. We got to open up for Adolescents, and I was just hanging out. My brother was the drummer in the band. They needed a bass player to sit in, and it was cool playing with those bands. I couldn't believe it.
It just seemed to be a lot more down to earth. Like, again, that's going back to the whole thing, like that whole meeting your idols and then they ended up sucking, Like, I remember I was taking my kids and we were at, I don't know if I tell this on air or not before. I was at an arcade down in like Oceanside with my daughter, and we were playing games like one of those, amusement parks with the miniature golf and shit. And who was right next to me was Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. And I look over at him, and he's looking at...
Dave Mustaine.
Yeah. And he's looking at me, and he's just like, why aren't you coming up to me? You know what I mean? Like, I could... Well, he
you know who I am?
Yeah, exactly. That,
you know who I think I am?
Yeah. That whole shit, I looked at it, because I looked at him, I was like, God, that's Dave Mustaine. Wow, all right. And I walked away, and it blew... I could just feel it. You could see, like, the confusion in his face. Like, you know what, dude? Don't be that guy, We were talking about Channel 3. It took me 2 years to get them in to see him. Kim and...
They're awesome.
Kim and Mike, I love those guys. I got to finally play with them. I finally got to have them here in studio, and they're just the nicest people you'll ever fucking meet,
No, those guys are the real deal.
And the same thing with you guys, that's what that's what the show, like I said in the beginning of the show, this is what the show's about. It's like when I go out and I meet cool people and they're cool and they play good rock and roll and we shake hands and then, hopefully we'll have some beers and we'll book some shows together and we'll do some more stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. So, B, do you have any more Glimmer Stars? I want to play some more Glimmer Stars. We were running out low on the show. What else do you got? What other track do you have? And, Minnie, do you want to introduce the song?
Country.
County Line. County Line.
County
Yeah,
Line.
it's one we do live. We're doing that live.
Anything you want to say about the song or you just want us to fucking play it?
Second record, simple, fun, heartbreakish.
I like it.
You like it?
That's all right.
That's it. Let's hear it.
All right, here we go. Once again, the Glimmer Stars.
You sit in your director's chair with your credit card, colored hair. Don't tell me that you never knew the things you do. And now it's going round my head. I don't want to share that bed with the life and times of discontent. And now you cross the line, the county line. What did you expect to find? And now you crossed that line, and you took my time. But I guess you owe my heart for a little while. Now everybody has their day, but that doesn't make you stay. Little things that I miss, it's as mean as a kiss upon my lips. And now you crossed that line, the county line. What did you expect to find? And now you crossed that line, and I took your time. I guess you owe my heart for a little while, for a little while, for a little while, for a little
All right, we're back.
I like that song.
I like that song too. I'm glad you guys like that. That's cool.
and props to Tony Snow because he's doing all the drumming on that, and I love that guy.
Right on.
Good player.
Cool. All right. So we got sidetracked again. The segment I was talking about earlier that I want to do is a segment I've always done called Show Some Love. So right now, while we're promoting you guys, the Glimmer Stars, and we want people to listen to you guys, obviously, and pick up this CD and check them out. You guys are on all the social media, right?
Yes.
I started doing that with the DJ thing, and everything just keeps happening too quick. So check them out on iTunes, CD Baby, fucking Pandora, Spotify. I'm sure you guys are all
there.
The swap meet.
Yeah, the swap meet. Well, maybe.
All that, the whole catalog is on CD Baby, but it kicks it out to everything. So
All right.
Please.
And then stay tuned because they have a new EP coming out, right?
Yes, it'll be out in April probably.
All right. So the segment, like I said, we're promoting you guys right now, but it's all about the scene. That's what the show's about, is the scene.
Nice.
So there's always been a segment that I've done called Show Some Love. So real quick, and just if there's any band that you guys have been playing with recently, or your friends' bands, or somebody else that you think deserves a shout out or a push that you think other people should listen to, like even give me tips. I mean, besides the bands you mentioned, the older ones, anybody playing right now that are doing the same thing, struggling like you guys and we are. Any other bands you guys want to give a shout out to or tell people to check out? Is there anybody that comes to mind? If not, it doesn't matter. We can play another record.
Besides the Glimmer Stars?
I got a friend of mine named Randy, and he's in a band called Odd Sock.
Odd Sock.
And Randy is an Orange County guy, and they're not pop, but they're not hard rock. They're kind of alternative, and he sounds vocally a lot like John Easdale. And he's a great guy, and I want to check his band out. They're
Odd sock.
Odd sock.
Okay.
Not a dry sock in the house. that's
Nicely done.
Wait. I got one.
Okay.
Because I recently quit the band to give my full time to be in the Glimmer Stars. They're called the Factory Superstars. I wish them luck.
Good band.
Factory Superstars.
I wish them luck.
Very good band.
I think
This
anybody.
was my choice.
I just want to plug anybody who's willing to, put themselves out there. I mean, it's not up to me whether I like their music or not, but it's just a fact that someone had enough intestinal fortitude to put $5,000 worth of musical equipment in a $500 guitar and go play in front of 3 people.
Yeah.
And keep. I mean, there's some maniacal, pattern to all that, but obviously, man, my plug goes out to who's ever still doing that. You know what I mean? Because we've all been there, and it's sort of like, there's a lot of social upset with it. I gotta work tomorrow morning, or
No,
who's gonna pick me up, or what time do we have to be there? I may be late, and it's just like, that's the inspiration.
Yeah.
The people that still kind of do it,
It's a labor of love. I know you do it for a labor of love.
And we see other people doing it.
Absolutely.
We're like, wow, is that how they do it? And we're like, wow, we're not alone, but
I know you do this. You do your band as a labor of love. It's from the heart, and it's obvious. You can see it.
Yeah.
Which is what draws us to you and your band, because it's real.
Let me give you a compliment that's going to go a little bit weird, because you've been talking about my age for a little while. I want to talk about your guys' age for a little while, but this is a compliment. Hear me out, because we've been drinking. Don't get to take this thing twisted.
And we shall be drinking.
All right. I've heard from a lot of guys in the industry that they think it's bad that older cats are coming out and still trying to play, and I'm completely the opposite. Fuck you, because I want to keep playing until I fucking roll over and die.
Well, it's that comment I made earlier when they were.
I agree, Ryan.
Yeah.
Remember, there's those ads that were like in musician papers, looking for a drummer, singer, guitar player, must have a certain look, must be 20 to 24, and they're asking this young person to behold all the skills that like a 50-year-old person that's been through 4 divorces, maybe a couple of rehabs, a car accident or 2. you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
And they're asking
I hear you.
this 24-year-old to kind of like really embrace this mythological, like, you got to be this good. And anyone over 30, I mean, it's not Logan's Run. Rock and roll is not Logan's Run. I see a lot of kids that are like 18 to 28, 28 to 38, 38 to 48, male, female. They have their own interpretation about what this pursuit is.
Mm-hmm.
And so be it. That's their job to do that. If not, then we'd be a moron nation. It's like you got to have people that go out and do that of all ages.
Yeah.
Because you pick up and learn
You're
from that.
advocating older rockers.
Well, of course. Well, I'm saying that too also because, look.
You got to have that experience to make that noise.
Exactly, right?
So, I mean, if someone comes up to me that's 24 years old and says like, yeah, I'd be like, I was doing it when you were doing backstrokes in your dad's ball sack. You know what I mean? So fucking back off.
Well, the thing is, I was saying to you was like with like say when I first started playing in the '90s, right? And I don't want you guys to go listen to my albums from the '90s. I want you to listen to my band from right now in my 40s. Not in my fucking teenage years, because I've been getting better. I've been listening to a lot of music.
And it's where your pursuit takes the listener.
Exactly, right? And so you're talking about, what worldly experience do I have as a fucking 19-year-old kid? You know what I mean? I've been through divorces. I've been through fucking...
Hello.
Yeah. Accidents, drug addictions, fucking everything. And it's the same thing. It's like when you listen, even if the song's simple, you listen to Johnny Cash, even up to the very fucking end, I'll listen to him fucking all day, every day.
But Johnny Cash went up as Johnny Cash.
True.
And I think where that problem that you were talking about earlier comes up is when you have Steve Star Cycle rock star that was hip in 1989 that is trying to make it hip in 2019 as a 60-year-old. And they're trying to carry it. I think that's where a lot of people are kind of turned off from. I think they'd be more interested if we watched this guy who was popular 30 years ago go through some trials and tribulations that every musician goes through, and then you'd respect him as a 50, 60-year-old guy on stage.
Oh, no, what I was getting to.
As opposed to like some guy who's like, what's that band, Blackie Lawless?
Wasp.
I mean, have you seen that guy? It's like if you got like spandex and put like 600 pounds of lard in that and
Jesus.
said it's going to make some noise and everyone's going to buy tickets to go see it. That's what they're against.
No. What I was referring to is like a lot of people are just like, hey, you're old. Why are you still up there on stage?
Right.
Fuck
Because
you.
we can do it.
Yeah,
that's why.
that's fucking right. Exactly, dude. I don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
Lemmy was doing it till he was fucking 70 and he rolled over. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's
I
been a
agree,
great, it's
man.
been
Oh,
a
you
great
got
show.
that sound.
Hey, by the way, we're running out. If you guys get a new album, welcome to come back in the studio.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Do you guys have any shows coming up that you want to plug real quick?
February 23rd, Bobby V's in Anaheim.
Where's that?
In Anaheim.
Thank you. Fucking
It's
A.
in the shitty part of town, and we will rock.
All right.
It's a new venue for us and it's kind of fun.
Just a dive bar. You
Who are you
know,
guys playing with?
a band called Rooster,
Rooster?
and so I don't know who else.
Okay.
It's a 3-band night, and we're always the openers because
We like to set the bar.
they're like, well, we don't know what to do with you guys, so we're okay.
All right.
Perfect. We'll have a few beers and
So the
It's a
23rd.
blurred crusade that we're on,
23rd.
but it's a good one.
All right. Anything else? That it for now?
yeah, that's it.
The recording and the gig. That's
All right. So make sure you guys check out the Glimmer Stars
Thanks for
all
having
over
us,
social.
Ryan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, Ryan, thank you.
You're welcome.
We appreciate the bandwidth.
All right. Absolutely. I appreciate the girth.
Oh my gosh! He's a
I was going to say it's rubbing out, but that doesn't sound good.
All right. So anyway, in the spirit of rock and roll, in the spirit of the Black Lung Show, so now you guys know who the Glimmer Stars are. Show them some love. Show up to some shows. Buy their music.
Thank you.
And then if you're anything like me, be a rock and roller. Go out and just buy a record because the album looks cool. I bought this in Seattle. Check this band out. Watch.
nice.
This band's called The Fumes, and I love this shit. This is the song that's going to take us out. Thanks for listening to Black Lung Show. I'm Ryan Pena. Thanks, B, for being the engineer. Check this shit out.
Thanks, B.
Thank you.
Here are The Fumes from the album Pure Bad Luck.